Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by for today's analysis. Today I do want to talk about that odd dollar strategy, the Bollinger Band strategy that we mentioned in the email. And I also want to talk about a few other setups and opportunities we have. But before we get into that, I want to ask you a huge favor. And what I want to know is if you would mind retweeting this daily analysis. We're always encouraging people to get it on Twitter, but for some reason we don't see a really good response from that. We only get 5 or 6 tweets per article or per analysis, and I know that there's way more of you on Twitter than that, obviously. So we want to get as many retweets going as possible. Just want to see how many we can get, kind of as a fun thing, and also, of course, just to get our analysis out there. So if you would not mind, if you have a Twitter account, or if you don't, you can make one, but you don't have to do that. If you have a Twitter account, using the social media Twitter button, which should be right on the left side of this article, if you're watching the video, it should be on the left side, and retweeting this to your Twitter account, because it's just something that we want to see if it's worth us really putting a lot of effort into Twitter, if that many people are actually using it and following it. Because if not, I mean, obviously it's not really worth our time. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, I would really appreciate it. If you could even just pause the video and do it now, I promise that the analysis will be good enough that you won't regret tweeting it to your friends. And again, it's just to to see how much following we have there, and to see how much momentum we can get with Twitter and how many people we can get involved. And we're even actually gonna give a prize to one person who tweets it. So if you tweet it, you're automatically eligible for a special piece of software that we've developed as a prize from Winners Edge Trading. So please do that. Okay, I won't waste your time with that anymore. Let's look first of all at that odd dollar Bollinger Band strategy, because I know that some of you came here just for that. Okay, so here's our odd dollar, and this is a daily chart. Price right now is near the 106 level. And as you can see, I have a Bollinger Band here just with the default settings. And what had me thinking about throwing these Bollinger Bands up here, because I'm not typically a person who uses a ton of indicators, is that Tim and I, some of you guys know Tim, he's one of the programmers who works for us and also a trader. He and I were talking about this Bollinger Band strategy that we used to use a lot. And the idea of the Bollinger Band strategy is simply to show when price is overextended and ready to go the other way. And so since the odd is a pair that we were talking about in a reversal setup, I thought I should really throw out my Bollinger Bands here to see if they're in line with that reversal strategy. And the strategy is this, that when you have a Bollinger Band, you're looking for a tail to pierce the Bollinger Band, showing that price is overextended in that direction and ready for a reversal. And you can see here that we actually did get a tail right through the Bollinger Band, and then of course we got a continuation bar that followed that to the downside. So it just so happened that this reversal setup here that we were looking at from yesterday falls directly in line with the Bollinger Band strategy. And so we used to use this Bollinger Band a lot because there's a lot of great reversals. You can see examples like this where it gets the reversal and then just runs for massive rewards, and those are great opportunities. The one issue is that many times with the Bollinger Band, you get a lot of things that look like tails and reversals, but only go up a bar and then continue and do the same thing. And in a trend, it kind of stays in the bottom of the Bollinger Band with a lot of wicks through the bottom and doesn't really reverse all the way up. So what we found is that it can definitely be profitable because you get runs like this one here that goes all the way up and this one here that goes all the way up. But in order to do it, you have to be so patient and so good with your trade management that it's just really difficult to be patient through all the little losses that you have to take in order to hit some of the big wins. And so we kind of reverted the strategy and changed a lot of things up. But it still is a great filter to help you know when price is overextended. So I just wanted to show you guys a way that an indicator, even though I'm not a huge fan of indicators, can be a great filter for a strategy and give you some extra confidence in your trade entries. And this is a perfect example of that because we talked about this short entry on the Australian dollar just yesterday, and this is another way to kind of verify what we're thinking. And so you can see that the odd dollar has shown some continuation today with today's daily bar. Again, this is a daily chart. Not a ton, not a massive bearish bar, but has shown some continuation. pulled back a little bit more towards the end of the day, like after lunch. It's kind of been steadily pulling back, and hopefully that's not going to continue for those of us that are short on the odd, like we are. But I'm still thinking very long term for the odd, and I understand that when you're looking at major reversals, to get a full reversal, something that looks like this, which is thousands of pips, well not thousands, but like 1,500 pips, you have to be able to withstand the pullbacks like these that are going to go a few bars in your direction before you see continuation. So even though I do believe that this has a great long-term potential, maybe even headed all the way back down to the 97 area, I think that's actually a legitimate possibility. You have to understand that before it gets down there, it's going to pull back, it's going to shake people out. It's not going to go straight down, or else we just have a very easy way of trading that. The market is not going to make it that easy for you. So this is a pair where I'm worried that it could definitely come up and retest this trend line again before it goes back down, which would be brutal if you're already sure on that. But I do think there's a lot of great opportunity. Of course, I would have loved to see a massive bar that came all the way down through this 20 EMA here on today's bearish bar. But we didn't get that great a continuation. It's a bearish bar, which is good. That means that you should be up some pips if you shorted it. But not as good as maybe we'd like to see. So I'm holding out for more continuation on that. We are at some resistance, or some support I should say, because there's levels all through here where it made steps on the way down that you're going to run into, which is all going to be support or resistance depending on which way price is moving, of course. So that's always something you're going to have. I don't think it's at a major level right now, so I think it has a lot of probability that it can push right through that, and of course that's what I'm hoping for. So that's the odd. This is the way that I use Bollinger Bands, or that I used to use Bollinger Bands a lot more as a way just to filter these type of reversal setups, because reversal setups are always a scary thing. You don't like to short into upward momentum, which we had here. So any filter you can add to reversal setups is a great thing to do, and this is one. So check that out. Throw those Bollinger Bands on your chart and compare them to the reversal setups that you see with price action, and be sure to let me know if you think that does work as a great filter, because I think it has a lot of potential. And just as me and Tim were rehashing that today, I thought, man, I should really get back into that and start using them more, because I remember so many good entries that they did deliver. All right, so that's it on the Bollinger Band. That's basically what I wanted to share with you on that. Now I'm going to jump into just some of our other analysis and move forward on what we talked about yesterday as well. Let's jump on that euro dollar real quick. So this is our euro dollar chart. It's a daily chart, and if you remember, we were stalking along on the breakout here a long time ago. We got continuation, and even a high break all the way up, 100 pips past this major level. And if you remember, what I said yesterday was, I think this is a pretty good reversal signal. It's not the best signal ever, but what makes me really biased towards a short on the euro dollar is that I believe that price wants to come back and test this critical level, because it's very rare that price will shoot right through a level and never come back to do a test, even if it is going to continue upward for many more pips to come. So what I suggested here was a good probability of short, because I think that price will come back and at least test this level, if not break through it and test somewhere lower down. And as you can see, today's bar is making its way towards that level. It didn't obviously get all the way down there on today's bar, but it obviously gives me a lot of confidence that price is headed that direction and that price is gonna come down and test this level. And my expectation is still that it's going to do that. Most likely, I would think that tomorrow's bar will come down and touch that level, which is right on that 1300 level. So that's what I'm thinking as far as euro dollar. After it gets down to this level, if it does come down and test that, I haven't really made up my mind. Maybe this is going to come down, test this level, and we're going to be set up for a great long opportunity, or maybe it's going to be a full reversal and start shifting the momentum back down again. Depending on how it reacts at this level, I think there's going to be a great trade setup either way. It just really does depend on how it reacts, and oftentimes the way price reacts at major levels will tell you for a long time to come what you can expect out of that currency. So this is certainly a major level, and I'm very curious to see how it's going to react to that. Hopefully tomorrow we'll get a little bit more bearish movement and be able to have an idea of what price is going to do at that level. Okay, let's check pound dollar. Okay, so we know that pound dollar is pretty high. It's been moving up for quite some time, very consistently. We're now all the way up into the 162.45 range up here. And today we had pretty much a stalling action. And because pound is so strong, it's been so consistently strong for a long time, that tells me that the dollar is gaining some strength to be able to stall out the pound. Because as you can see, this rally is very significant. That's a ton of pound strength just pushing forward. And so for it to even get a little bit of red here, that's at least telling me that the dollar is making up some ground and trying to stall this out. So I'm still hoping for a potential reversal sign on the pound, because I think if we get a reversal, we could come all the way back down to this level, which is at the below the 158, which would obviously be a ton of pips and a great trade opportunity, especially as far as your risk-reward ratio is concerned. So that's what I'm thinking for pound. In my opinion, there's not a good enough price action signal to start shorting it yet, but I am anticipating that and hoping that we get a good level. I'm surprised that it didn't come up and test here before it stalled all the way. That's kind of what I was expecting. Excuse me. But still, if there's a good price action reversal, I don't really care if it tests that level. I'm still going to be ready to jump on that. Okay, another pair that a few of you mentioned in the comments from yesterday was the USDCAD, which I didn't go over yesterday. So let's take a look at that today. Okay, so this is the USDCAD, and again, it's a daily chart. And the only thing that I was really looking at on the USDCAD was this channel, which I have here. And you can see that's been tested somewhat consistently. It's not like a channel that's been tested the whole way down, but it does have some authority in my opinion. And one thing that I'm seeing now is that we're seeing kind of a break back into this channel with some of the USD strength that we have right now. I'm always afraid to go USD long on a pair like CAD that's been pretty consistent. However, we do have some great technical signals here that this thing is trying to make its way back up and test perhaps a higher level in this area, like above the 99 area. So I think that has some potential as far as USD CAD's concerned. My only hesitation there is that I think if you're going to trade some long USD pairs, you might pick a better pair or a better currency to pair it up with than the CAD, just because the Canadian dollar to me shows more consistent strength than a lot of other pairs. So that's my only hesitation there. I think that there is a good signal, and it does look to be breaking back up into this channel, but I think I'd rather trade euro dollar or AUD dollar than against the Canadian dollar, just because of my personal bias with some of the CAD strength. So that's my opinion there. I don't think that it's not a good setup, but I'd just rather pair the US dollar up with a different currency. That's all I have for that. Alrighty, let's check out the pound yen. Okay, now the pound yen was a pair that I wanted to get to yesterday, but I was just focusing on the US dollar crosses, so I didn't get to it. And if you remember, we talked about the pound yen overall long potential for a long time. We talked about if it broke this level, that we really believed, or I really believed, that there was some long-term bullish potential in the pound yen. And obviously, this break here was an incredibly huge break, a momentum break, and we've seen some pretty good follow through since. Now, today's bar was a little bearish to begin with. If you remember today, the yen had some early weakness today that pulled the pound yen down a little bit. But however, we are seeing some continuation on the pound yen now. Sorry, I said yen weakness, yen strength. We are seeing some continuation now, as this is a tail bar that is moving up. And one thing to note is that we actually did break a level here. It's not the most critical level, but we did break this level here earlier on our way up. That was yesterday's bar that went right through here. So we didn't even struggle at a peak level there. And so that gives me more confidence this thing has some legitimacy in its movement. And so pound yen's one that I'm going to watch and maybe hope to get all the way up in the 132 area if it can keep going, because pound yen is a pair that when it breaks out has the potential to really move a lot of pips. So I'm looking at long-term potential there with pound yen. I think that if the pound strength could continue, which pound has been very strong for a while now, and yen can just stay a little bit weaker like it's been, that the pound yen has a lot of opportunity for upward movement. So that's my expectations there, that for it to continue, perhaps test one of these higher levels of 132, maybe even 133 or 134 if it really gets going. Now obviously that's going to require a lot of pullbacks and some time, but I do think that higher prices is a legitimate option for the pound yen. Alright, let's check a few more pairs here. One pair I want to check was EUROAUD. Now one thing I wanted to point out here was that the euro has been very strong and the AUD very weak, obviously, for a little bit of time here. And again, this is the EUROAUD daily chart. And you can see that this rally here obviously shows a lot of euro strength and a lot of AUD weakness. That combination really drove the price up. But what's interesting is that even though I think the AUD is still pretty weak and I'm shorting it against the dollar, the AUD has actually even become stronger than the euro, which means that the euro is pretty darn weak right now. And so that kind of adds to my confidence with that euro short momentum that I was talking about earlier, that the euro is even weaker than the AUD, which has been our most consistent weak currency lately. So to me, this little signal here that we have with topping and some bearish ground made up on the euro-AUD is a great confidence booster, so to speak, on that euro-dollar momentum shift that we were talking about earlier. And I just wanted to point that out. You talk about multiple confluence and things like that. Well, this gives you a great idea of how weak the euro is, because it's even losing ground against our most consistently weak pair for a long time here. Another pair I want to check out is the pound New Zealand. And the pound New Zealand is a pair that I always look at. If you guys watch my analysis, you know that I'm always looking at the pound New Zealand just because it's fun to try. There's so many pips that can be made in the pound New Zealand. Every daily bar is just an incredible amount of pips. So obviously we talked about the short opportunity up here at the 50 level, and hopefully if you shorted it up there, you made some money, because since that tail bar it moved down about 550 pips before this recent rally towards the upside. And so now we have a 2-bar rally, and today's bar is kind of a stall bar. What I'm looking for is perhaps a retest of the lower fib, the 38 fib, and a continuation to the downside to work our way back down towards that 1.9 area, because that is a lot of pips. And so that's something that I'm stalking here on the pound New Zealand. Just wanted to make you aware of that trade opportunity if it occurs. What I'd be looking for is like a tail bar through the 38 fib level, and then continuation to the downside, and be targeting all the way down here at recent lows. Alright, so I think that's the last pair, the last trade setup that I wanted to mention today. Hopefully you're looking at some of these same pairs, and you have some ideas that are alike with mine. I'd love for you to share those, because it's always great just to get that communication and to see what other people are thinking. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching, and if you didn't tweet this, please do, just to again show us how much emphasis we should be putting on Twitter, how much following we have there, and to see if we can gain some momentum with that Twitter, because we really think that Twitter can be a great tool for trading. Alright guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.